Right now, matric final exams represent the ultimate test at the end of one's school career. While it is an exciting milestone, some students struggle with anxiety and stress during this period. Parents and teachers are encouraged to offer their support at this time. To find out how families and parents can offer proper support, we're joined by Bronwyn Batchelor. She's the head of faculty at the Independent Institute of Education. Bronwyn, thank you so much for your time here on eNCA, and good afternoon to you. This is always a very important question, right? But how would you encourage parents to support their children, especially because sometimes, you know, you come back from a very difficult day at work and you really are too tired to be studying with your child, and maybe you're irritable. What would be your advice?
Good afternoon, and thank you so much for having me. I think this is a very important topic at this time of the year. We know that it's a stressful time for matriculants, but we often forget that it's also a stressful time for parents who are watching their children go through this period and maybe not being too sure how to support them. There are a number of things that as a parent you can do. One of the main things is to keep a close eye and to just check for any telltale signs or symptoms that your child is maybe not coping with the additional stress. And if you do observe some of these signs, to action as quickly as possible, whether it be getting additional support academically from the school, if it's emotional stress, psychological stress, to reach out to a healthcare practitioner. If it's needing more information, because I think at this stage knowledge is power, then consulting a reputable higher education institution and speaking to a student advisor in order to enable you to advise your child as to the options that are available to them.
But how important is it also, because we think about the pupils, right, who are sitting down to write their exams, how stressed they might be, the anxiety that fills up their minds, etc. But it's also about the teachers as well, wanting to see the pupils that they've been teaching to succeed, wanting to prove to themselves that they also did their jobs.
And I think there's stress and expectations all round, and it's really important not to project those expectations, those anxieties and those emotions onto the student because they have enough of their own at this time. I think it's important also to place everything into perspective. And although this is one of the most challenging experiences of their young lives, I think we need to ensure that our students know that it's just one moment of time and they are not going to be judged by this for the rest of their lives. It's going to be a fleeting moment. Once it's over, the world is their oyster. They have so many options that are available to them. I think it's important that we don't project additional stress and anxiety onto our students at this time.
And I think it's also important, I just don't know what type of conversations we should have with the pupils as they prepare for this time. But I remember covering quite a few stories where you find that a matric pupil ended up killing him or herself because they probably didn't make it. And they were embarrassed about starting again the following year, or some of them probably not passing as well, and now they have to substitute. You know, what kind of conversations should we have around that?
So I think the conversations need to focus on perspective. Number one, that this is just one aspect of your life. It's not your entire life. I think students become so focused on the exams that they forget everything else that they have going for them. Number two, they need to know that they are loved irrespective of the results, and only their support structure can reassure them of that. And that's definitely something that needs to be part of the conversation. And number three is the options that are available to them, because not every student is going to proceed to higher education. Not every student is going to proceed to a further qualification. It depends upon their dreams and their desires and the ways that those can be met. And I think a lot of students, parents aren't fully informed about the options that are available to students. And in this situation, knowledge is power.
I mean, I remember when I told my parents I was going to be studying journalism, the things that I heard, because back then the best industries to get into was to be a doctor or an accountant and all those big shot industries. But very quickly, speak to me about how special the class of 2022 is. I mean, they've had basically 3 years of chaos. First, their curriculum had to change quite a bit because of the pandemic, the lockdown, 5 months of not learning. Last year it happened again, probably not on the same scale, but it happened again. Now it's ESCOM.
Yeah. I think this group of students must be the most resilient and most persistent group coming out of our education system. We do see it in the higher education sector, where each year there is a different cohort that has certain traits that are a consequence of the years that they have come through. So with this group, they would have faced already very many challenges, as you've listed them. And this last hurdle might seem like just one more thing that I have to get through. So we need to encourage them as much as possible, but we also need to bear in mind that they've built up this fortitude and this resistance because they've had to do a lot of it alone, at home, separated from their peers and their teachers at a difficult time. And some of them might feel a bit insecure in terms of going into the exams now, because a lot of the skills they would have had to develop on their own. So we need to reassure them as well that they can achieve, look at how far they've come during that difficult time, and to plan accordingly. It's very important that our students have a study schedule at this time to manage what time they have left to achieve their goals.
All right. Thank you so much for speaking to us here today. And thank you for your insight on what the pupils need to do. Good luck, really, to the matric class of 2022.